So we're here with Dr. Bikman.
He is a metabolic scientist, and his work is all around insulin and understanding insulin resistance and how we can overcome it as a population. So.
And one of the things is, guys, is we go to the world's leading experts, not Facebook groups, not Twitter pages, to find our science-based information. So this is going to be awesome.
You hunted me down.
Yeah.
You found me.
Yeah. So I was asking Dr. Bikman here about my transition to being a sugar burner to now a fat burner.
Yeah.
So originally I was 20 pounds overweight, and I had lost that weight using the principles that we talked about today, earlier this morning, but they weren't categorized as these principles. They were more kind of subtle.
Yeah.
And
more vague.
Exactly, more vague, but I was kind of following them. But I didn't, and then I started doing more resistance training. So I noticed that my weight actually started creeping up, but my body fat went down, which is good. And so that kind of goes to show that, like, obviously weight doesn't matter so much. So I kind of gained that 10 pounds.
Yeah, in fact, that's the dream. Anyone who has fat to lose, most they can hope for is that body recompositioning, to be shifting down in the storing of excess energy, in other words, fat, and to be increasing the functional mass of the body, that which is moving and animating the body. That's everyone's dream. So that's great.
So, like I was saying, I didn't really see very much changes in the last couple of weeks in terms of my body composition using the activate system. But I did notice, like, my cravings completely disappeared. Like, I made
her palate's changed.
I made cookies for these guys twice. I didn't even have one.
Yeah,
I didn't want
for you.
one. Like, I didn't.
So your ability to look at
it
and just say it's not what I want,
right?
It's not what I need.
Exactly. And I love like pizza and pasta. Like, those are my major cheats. I haven't done donuts yet. Those are my favorite. But I haven't done donuts.
We got Tim Hortons up there, so it's kind of hard.
It's not the same.
Krispy Kreme
is the way to go.
Krispy Kreme.
I have to say.
Boy, you're gonna get your Canadian passport revoked.
Well, there's only a few of them there, right? So I will drive like 2 hours from like no, seriously, it will take like 2 hours just to get to a Krispy Kreme.
That is very anti-Canadian. Come on, Rav, come on.
I will do it. I will do it. But so I had like a cheat of like pizza and pasta, but I noticed that my palate changed as well. So those foods didn't taste as good to me. Why does that happen?
I can't tell you specifically. That's an area of science I'm not overly familiar with. What I can say is, if insulin has come down, that means your body is burning fat. That does provide a source of actual usable fuel at all times. So while I can't speak to why your individual tastes have changed, I can't help but speculate that you've gotten off this insulin roller coaster. That as insulin, people that have prediabetes or hyperinsulinemia, when they eat a carbohydrate load, like say pizza, they have a huge increase in blood glucose, followed by a huge increase in insulin, because glucose can't stay high in the blood for long. It will kill you. It is lethal. So the insulin comes in to save the day and push the glucose out. But in people that have hyperinsulinemia, the pancreas may accidentally overshoot how much insulin is actually required, and the person has this rebound hypoglycemia, where about 2 hours or so after that glucose load, they go below, and so they find like they need it again. They have to constantly be bumping up their carbohydrate, their blood glucose. They sense almost a panic, an anxiety if they're getting low. So that could explain why you are able to look at a food that once was so tempting, because it was your brain saying, hey, we run on glucose, you've got to eat that. Now your brain is saying, I don't need that fuel. Whatever glucose I do need, the liver is making it, and I have ketones that you're giving me to make up the rest of my energetic gap. And of course the ketones come from all the fat you're burning. So that's my speculation. I can't speak to taste changes, but actual fuel need changes, well, that's, as so many things are, under the realm and the control of insulin, which you've changed.
Amazing.
So I have another question. So I've noticed that before I was a sugar burner, obviously still, but my strength kind of dipped a little bit.
Like your physical performance strength?
My physical performance strength kind of dipped. And like before I used to be able to do 4 to 6 chin-ups, now I can maybe manage 3. So, and that I kind of find challenging and tough. What's happening there?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm curious how long has it been when you went down to 3 chin-ups? How long has it been? Is this over the course of like a month?
But she also went from 4 to 5 scoops of complete a day to 1 base.
Yeah, so my protein kind of dipped a little bit because I'm only having 2 meals now.
Yeah, protein matters. You need to be around 1.5 grams per kilo body weight. So I would say scrutinize your protein, but that's not commonly too deficient. There is, we don't know how intensity changes, how work output changes when someone has gone into a fat-adapted or a ketogenic state. There's no question that glucose does provide a fuel in higher intensity moments. So while there is research to support the idea that aerobic capacity is maintained, if not improved, in the presence of ketones, we don't have anything to suggest that anaerobic or power output has increased. And chin-ups are power. In fact, I love it. I'm a huge advocate of chin-ups myself. All my calluses are from chin-ups hanging on the bar.
It's great.
So
it looks pretty on a woman.
Yeah, well, I think all hands ought to be a little callous, frankly. But
it gives a firm handshake.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So in that case, I can't speak to any scientific papers looking at power output. It's possible that in those days when you need a little more power, you might want to put in 10 grams of glucose into your pre-workout or something like that. I know.
I don't use pre-workout. I only use Unimate. So I actually work out in a fasted state.
I do too.
Should I be working out?
My pre-workout is a little homebrew, mind you. It's a homebrew. Every morning I weigh out on a little scale. I have my little bottle. I have a series of bottles, and I'll just use one a day. I'll put in 2 grams of leucine, which is the primary anabolic amino acid. Quadplex is, of course, enriched with it. I'll put in 3 grams of creatine. I'll put in a pack of Unimate. And then
creatine monohydrate?
Yes.
Creapure?
No, it's a different one.
Okay.
It's monohydrate. Okay. So which is just the same. And then I put in a half packet of an electrolyte powder. There are many different kinds you can get, including Oasis and others. So an electrolyte powder, because if you have low insulin, you need electrolytes. You need the calcium, potassium, magnesium, because if you have low insulin levels, one of the reasons people's blood pressure comes down so quickly when they adopt an insulin lowering diet is because the kidneys start letting those electrolytes go in the urine more readily. And as the electrolytes go, so too does water, and that means the blood pressure comes down. That is fine, but for people that are physically active, you need to replace those electrolytes. So you need to make sure you're getting salt, for example. So that's my pre-workout right there in a nutshell. And the leucine is to just make sure I'm getting all the anabolic amino acids that I need to support my muscle development. Your drop in chin-up, I'm speculating, it could be a result of lower electrolytes, which is easily solved.
Okay.
It could also be that you're not eating enough protein. It could be that you might need a little bit of glucose, 10 grams as a bit of a pre-workout, potentially.
Okay.
Now, is fructose different than glucose? How it's metabolized? I know there's doctors that are saying that fructose isn't used as energy. Is that correct?
Fructose is not used by the muscle for energy. It is metabolized by the liver. And the liver can do several things, 3 things with it. It can turn it into energy to be used by the liver. It can turn it into fat, which the liver does very well, or it can turn it into glucose. So you can end up getting the glucose, but the muscle cannot use fructose for fuel. It can only use glucose.
So having fruit before workout would probably not.
Like a banana.
Well, you will just convert that into glucose.
Okay.
And that's fine. I mean, if that's the way you want to do it, that is no problem.
Okay. So, but ideally, you wouldn't want to.
Yeah, but you might want to experiment. You might say,
okay.
wait, I was doing 6 chin-ups, which is awesome for a gal.
That was also in a fasted state too.
Yeah, but I like being in a fasted state. So you might.
Later.
Same. So because all my workouts are body weight, right. I do not like having any extra mass. You might, in fact, find that you want to get like a little dextrose, like a pure crystallized glucose, and tap it into your pre-workout if you were going to do it with your Unimate.
Okay.
Just to say, I just got 5 or 10 grams of glucose, and that's going to give me a bit of a pickup. You might not need it. Mm-hmm. It might just be you need to give yourself a little more time. But going from 6 chin-ups to 3, that is a meaningful deficit. Mm-hmm. I can say from my own personal experience, I have not noticed a reduction in physical output and power. I start my polar days with muscle-ups on the bar, and I can do 10. I can do more now than I could.
That is like the goal, to be able to do muscle-ups. Like that's so hard. I don't even
Thank you for appreciating it.
No, it's really
hard.
difficult. Like you're pulling your body weight all the way up, and then you're flipping yourself and then going down. It's like you're doing.
In fact, it's that moment.
A pull-up and then a chest press and pushing yourself down. So
it's that transition that's the real make or break.
So one thing is, you talked about protein, and Kiran's main source of protein is usually dairy, specifically whey.
Yeah. That's the best.
Whey is so misunderstood. A lot of people in the low carb ketogenic community, a lot of these doctors and scientists say avoid supplements. of supplements are crap, waste
or
of money,
like liquid type of.
or whey's horrible.
Yeah, that's just absolute bananas. If someone needs protein, there's nothing better than whey. Well, I guess I'd say eggs as well, egg whites. But whey and egg whites are Mother Nature's best, most absorbable sources of protein.
So someone who doesn't have any idea what whey is, how would you describe it to them?
Yeah, whey is the dairy-derived protein. It is the protein that comes from milk.
And it's natural.
Totally natural. I mean, what they've done, of course, is taken the whey and then gotten rid of the fat and the milk sugar, the milk fat and the milk sugar, and all you're left with is just the pure milk protein. That's all it is. So the reason that's nice, though, is that if someone doesn't want the fat calories or someone doesn't want the lactose, the milk sugar, then you've put it to the side. The thing about dairy, or milk in particular, it is essentially the only food that is high in all three macronutrients. It is high fat, it is high protein, and it is high carbohydrate. That means it's a food to be careful with because it has all three, but it also means it's a food for growth. There's a reason that mammals make it to feed the offspring, is because it's the perfect food to grow. Now, for those of us that are trying to grow muscle, it also has a role there. But in the case of, in my case in particular, I won't speak for anyone else, I want the milk protein more than anything else. And so whey for me is an absolute staple.
So also, since we're talking about protein, and I as a vegetarian, and I know there's a lot of Indian vegetarians out there, and they are confused as to what protein sources that are available to them. And so, I mean, growing up, I always thought lentils and beans were protein, but lately I've been transitioning more to like soy, like tofu and edamame, and using those forms as well in tempeh and things like that. So what is your take on plant proteins, and how should we be careful about or moderating that intake? How should we strategize?
Right. I am very much an advocate of animal protein. It is superior to any plant protein. That is quantifiably fact. Soy does have the full profile of amino acids, which makes it a complete protein, like buckwheat it does as well. I'm a little wary of soy because I don't want plant estrogens in my body. And soy is high in phytoestrogens, or plant estrogens, and they do have biological effects on humans. We know that. I don't want that in my body, and in fact, I don't think anyone should get it in their body. I am an advocate of anything fermented, and so when you're talking about fermented soy products, that is better.
What are
like
those?
Tofu and tempeh.
Yep,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Edamame? Or no?
Is edamame?
I don't think
not
so.
That?
I don't think that's not fermented, right?
No, it's
Hate to
in
sound
the
so
shell.
I don't know.
It's in the shell. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but mind you, in that case, you're getting so little actual soy from the soybeans. When you're taking soy protein, you're really getting a concentrated amount of everything. If you're eating soy in its kind of more natural state, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
But when you're getting your full source of protein, as some people do, is from soy-based protein.
So like soy isolate proteins, like those.
Yeah, I am very, very opposed to that.
And that's
so to clarify, just to clarify, so soy in its whole source and fermented sources are fine. It's just if you're getting soy through soy isolates, you might want to be careful with that.
Yeah, if you're using soy to try to get to your protein target, that I have a bit of a problem with.
So Beyond Meat's not going to save the world.
Oh my heavens, no! It's going to make it worse.
I think so. It's full of canola vegetable oils.
It's full of fake oils, and it's full of fake proteins even. When you have taken a patch of ground that normally would just be grazed on through livestock, naturally healthy, it's the way nature intended it to be, and then you remove the livestock and you force a patch of ground to start growing soybeans, you've ruined it. You've ruined the ground. I mean, these fake meats, they will have their course and then they'll fade away. I desperately hope.
I feel like these meats are kind of like the low-fat movement, what happened in the 70s. Now it's a plant-based movement, and they're telling people stop drinking milk, stop eating meat.
You got to save the planet. What bonkers.
What's your thoughts on that?
So we're getting outside my area of expertise, admittedly, but I do have a strong opinion. My opinion is that cattle are essential to a healthy environment. That if we allow livestock to graze the way nature intended them to, which is out on a pasture they are feeding into this nitrogen cycle, allowing the ground to very robustly grow in the wake of where animals have been grazing. Nothing captures carbon as capably as prairie grass does, essentially, and that's what wants to grow after the cattle have left. This is very well documented, but if you care about carbon in the atmosphere, let the cows in their wake leave a more fertile ground to grow more grasses. That to me is the solution.
One more question about whey. People have sent me papers on whey spikes your insulin.
This has been somewhat looked at in the past, and I've spoken on it somewhat. The insulin response to an ingested protein depends on the underlying glycemia. So if someone has normal glucose levels and they are eating protein in the absence of any carbohydrate, there's essentially no insulin spike. And what modest insulin spike does occur, it's matched by another hormone called glucagon, which counters much of what insulin's trying to do. If someone is consuming protein and they have underlying hyperglycemia, or they're eating the protein with the carbohydrate load, then you get a substantial insulin spike, indeed higher than the carbohydrate alone would elicit. So that's true. So both of these ideas are true.
So if I'm eating a pizza, I can't add a complete to it.
It's not a great mix. No.
Okay, good to know. I wasn't doing that. I was doing that because I'm like, this pizza's missing protein. I can add complete.
Yeah, no. If the pizza doesn't lack protein, all that cheese is loaded with it. The cheese is loaded with protein. The pepperonis is loaded with the protein. You're getting plenty.
What are your favorite Unicity products?
My favorite Unicity product is Unimate, absolute square one.
Why?
In part because I am a very physically active guy, and I like doing things on an empty stomach. And I need to use my mind a lot. Unimate, for me, checks all those boxes. But also because of that, I love Fuel. The new product that everyone's going to be experiencing and enjoying soon, I love it. It is one of my favorite things. I wake up generally really early and I like to be productive. I make a warm little mug of Fuel and I'm just sipping on it with my laptop, getting all my work done.
It makes you feel good.
Oh, it's awesome.
Have you had it cold?
It is awesome. I've had it cold as well.
It's
and I love it.
so delicious. It's like a Starbucks Frappuccino.
It is so good. Yeah, everyone's going to love it. And so, indeed, I kind of look at Fuel as kind of my baby, because when we first started coming up with it, it was because I was taking Unimate and mixing in a little bit of coconut oil in the headquarters office just for kicks, and it sort of became something, to my great delight. As people start working, being able to use LC Base, one of the most delicious mixes that I never would have anticipated is LC Base and the matcha Focus.
Oh yeah, Focus.
Is so good. Well, any of the matcha ones.
Do you use collagen? I heard collagen is one of your favorite products.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of collagen.
Why?
I'm an advocate, especially a lot of the buzz surrounding vitamin C. The reason people need vitamin C is because it provides a necessary cofactor for the body to make collagen. That's why if someone is deficient in vitamin C, they'll get bleeding gums. It's because physically the tissue is kind of breaking down. Not kind of, it is physically breaking down. Collagen stops that, of course. It provides the physical structure to our tissue. If you are not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and so I'm getting very little vitamin C, because I don't eat too many fruits and vegetables, but I eat enough. But getting collagen lets me know I'm getting what the vitamin C would help me make anyway. I'm getting all the pieces that I would need to form the collagen.
And when you're saying fruits, what fruits? Because people, for fruits, they jump on banana and apple.
Yeah, so I am weary of the tropical fruits, particularly bananas, pineapples, mangoes. Those are very sugary fruits, so you need to be careful with them. The fruits that are, for me, green light are basically any berries.
And I've read a study, mango and papaya raises your insulin higher than white bread for equal carbohydrate amount. Is that?
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, awesome.
The tropical fruits are very sugary.
Supplements are very misunderstood.
Yeah, they are.
The moment we talk to someone about supplementing in their diet, I don't want to use chemicals. I want to eat all natural.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to become dependent on these things. If you were to educate a layman about supplementation, what would you say? And I think Unicity supplements are different than sports supplements.
Yeah, well. So in fact, let's even just play on that idea of chemicals and the purity. I mean, these are very ridiculously clean products. The thing about today's world is we live in a dirty world. Another paper was just published this very week implicating pesticides as a cause of insulin resistance. We're just to publish a paper from my lab showing that diesel exhaust particles, which we all inhale all the time, actually change mitochondrial or metabolic function in the body. The things we breathe, the air we breathe and the food we eat, it's dirty nowadays. And fruits and vegetables are among the dirtiest because of the pesticides on them. I respect someone wanting to get every vitamin and mineral, all the micronutrients they need from whole food sources. I really do have tremendous respect for that. The problem is the world we live in. Someone could say that there's a particular vegetable that's a high source of magnesium. Well, not really anymore, as soils are becoming depleted in magnesium.
So soil depletion is a real thing?
It is without a question a real thing. There's no arguing that. So if someone worries about that, as I kind of do. I worry about magnesium very much. I worry about vitamin D very much. Omega-3. I'm comforted knowing that if my diet hasn't been perfect, if I'm not able to check all the micronutrient boxes from my whole food source alone, I like to know that I can lean on a supplement.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. And just leave you with this, guys, is that we've collaborated together to impact and empower people to teach science-based principles, science-based nutrition, going by becoming the example first, empowering our families and then our communities, and hopefully we can reverse this epidemic. Any last words?
No, that's well said. I agree completely. Control insulin to control your health.
Awesome. This is an interview brought to you by Canadians.
Let's go change the world.